Weird science
is the revolution.
Feral, number 3, written by Tony Fleeks, art by Trish Forstner, Tony Rodriguez, colors by Brad Simpson, edited by Dennis Culver. I did not realize that
Really?
at first. The writer, Dennis Culver, did the Unstoppable Doom Patrol that I didn't love, so I'll give him props so here. He is, maybe not, though. We'll see how this goes, because in this issue, and even the last issue, we thought it was a little bit down, like you didn't do much, you were heading to the thing, we had a crazy jump scare that we're like, oh my God, just to show that people will die. But really the overall concept was Lord Fluffy Britches was up in the tree and said, I think I saw some houses that away. And that kind of just continues. But in this issue, I think the weird thing about this issue, there are times when things just happen, that the group of cats are together, and then Lord, which they just call Lord, he's just off. And not off where we see him as they're talking, him like look one way and then start wandering another. He feels at points when suddenly miles away. It feels like the whole thing shifted. And what I'll tell you also is, with the way that they have played out the first 2 issues, we know that Lord Fluffy Britches gets distracted. We know that he ends up walking away and doing weird things and doesn't really know even what it is to follow the rules and whatnot. So us seeing that as a cat, he loved to play around with somebody have like a pen light deal that does simulate what would be a tracer, thing for a gun in these. I don't think that we would have been confused of what is happening and why he wanders off. And it seems to want to keep presenting info of why these things are happening, but it's just because I kind of get him.
Yeah, just see the red dot against the tree line. You understand, it's a red dot, he's following the light.
Yeah, and I understand what they're doing, and it's fine. Yeah. But when you do this it's almost like this issue is trying to convince you that Lord Fluffy Britches has issues and can't concentrate.
He's a simple cat.
But we know that. So when you see it, you kind of end up like, okay, let's go, because the last thing that we saw was, him saying, hey, this is the way to go, and we can go and get the people and things. And then suddenly, and they were getting attacked, and there's the people coming in and the humans. But everybody's separated. You're going, oh my God, what was that? It's people. There's also these things. And then finally, you just, boom, you get them together again to then have, okay, is everybody okay? Hey, Elsie, you okay? Hey, Lord, Jonas, Patch. We get the characters again. But it never felt like at this point, like, where did the story go from to get to this point felt very odd. Very odd the way they transitioned to this and get going. Once you get going, but even then, this is, Lord Fluffy Britches, God rest his soul. The idea, if he lives through this, which I'm sure he will, it's amazing because he's getting shot at, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
They are running. And the minute that they're up in that tree and the people are away, he thinks everything is great. He is prancing around. Hey, everybody, race you home. What are you talking about, Lord? Like, you're in the middle of what seems to be an apocalypse, and you're like, hey, race you home, dude. So, like, it's a little too much. Yeah, I understand. Again, you're pushing the idea that that's kind of how he is. It just felt too much on that side, because then they start yelling at him. We got to follow the rules. You're not following the rules. What rules?
We're outdoors. There are no rules.
And so, listen, kid, there are rules. They start talking about the rules. He wanders off. This is the idea. Like, they are so, and the weird, here's where I think it's weird. The way, and you tell me if this isn't how it plays out. Jonas starts talking about the outside rules during an apocalypse. What we have then, not flashbacks, but we're seeing scenes. Hey, here's rule 3. If you don't know the animals and they have red glowing eyes and blood all, but you're seeing that as a scene.
Yeah.
So, but they're not really seeing that, right? But then when they pull back, it's as if they were watching a movie and he just wandered off. Lord wandered off while they were talking about the rules of not wandering off, and nobody seemed to recognize that. They just are so surprised. Oh my God, where'd Lord go? I'm like, he was just there. You were standing right next to him. What happened? How did you let this happen? Because again, sparkles. And to have this lead to what then, this cat confused me completely. And I'm thinking like, is this real? This new cat, Gigi, who has a raccoon, pretty much tail. It has all this weird mark. just to end up like, hey, who are you? You sparkle. You're all sparkly. Like, what is happening here? It really did kind of come out of nowhere. Like, he just wandered off again. Maybe what should have happened is when the people are attacking, when those, I won't go with the hazmat guys, the military.
Yeah, CDC soldier guys.
Why not have Lord just get separated from the group at that point? Where he wanders off.
But then you can't explain the rules, Jim.
That's the funniest thing is, we got the rules, Lord didn't. You know what I mean? And then, because you could have had the rules, like, listen, this goes with the rules. Oh, what are the rules? Abbott, because they're for us as well. But Lord didn't listen to him. He wandered off, and one of the rules is...
He wandered off while he listed out the rules.
Yeah, while the rules. The one rule was, don't make friends. No new people. We can't deal with that. We can't know that if they're, feral. We don't know if they have this whole rape. All that, it doesn't work. And if something stinks, you don't go near it. You run away and, realize. Again, one of the rules even goes against, kind of adds to the other about not having any new things. We're not here to make friends, things like that. Well, then just to have Lord go off and make friends. But then they find them right away. Like there's no real problem here. The problem is making the friend and not listening, to the rules that he wasn't there for. So they come in. Jonas ends up seeing this other cat start sniffing her and says, you smell weird. You don't smell right. I don't know if she's safe. Again, is he looking for cuts, this or that? He seems to be smelling that he says she's not right. But then she starts talking about her story, where it ends up her and Max. Now, Max, another cat, he's dead. Yeah. She says, now, maybe she's not aware, but it seems like she's pretty positive, right? That I think he's dead. So why do we have to, I know that this is just world building and things like that, but in a book where I'm still having problems when at each issue, now we're at 3, I don't know the names. I have to I know Lord, but even then it took me a little bit in this issue to remember, okay, Lord's the one that looks like that, there's Patches, whatever. But it still takes me a little bit. Now we're talking about a character that's already dead that we don't really need to know about, this Max. And to go with this, cat that was an indoor cat, and there's another one outside. And then they just yell, hey, fresh water. They said, I'm telling you, as we talk about this, I'm not loving this issue. I think it's a weird issue. So then they get attacked by a whole pack of foxes. They end up saying, hey, we got to go to the water, climb the trees. And then out of nowhere, Lord says no and starts running.
He just runs right past them.
Just running past them and starts saying the S word, saying, crap. And the old people laugh that I don't want to curse, but the idea of saying that as just jumping around. Now, you could say that Lord is trying to save the group. I don't think that's it. I don't know. It might be, but in the way of weird things. And then Jonas is just like, we got to get to the trees. So they start going up. Then they say we get to the water. If we get past the water, we'll be fine because they don't like water. They just jump over the water. Everything that goes on. But then what Lord's plan is, if it worked, or not even worked, if it was his plan, because I don't know how he would know where the CDC, where they are now, where the thing is, because what it seems is he wants to go to them, just get them to chase them, to them run and kill the foxes, because they're definitely rabid, they're feral. So you can get that, but even in the plan, it seems all twisted. And then at points you're combining, like all of a sudden, then you have Lord in the tree. He jumps off, lands right next to the group again. He's running with this new girl, Gigi. Things are weird of the progression of each panel and page. And then so they go to a point, and then you have Patch, one of the original 3. Basically just a negative nasty, as they say, the idea of everything's woe is me and it's not going to work, gets attacked. And that's where we then have Jonas say, leave him. We can't help him. There's a lot of just what feel like not really congruent scenes. It feels a lot of random stuff just to get these things. It's just weird. And then these, guys, the military guys, hazmat guys, CDC, they come in. And they start opening fire on the foxes to kill them, to then let the cats just escape as a group, where then they go over a hill and they're at homes and they're like, we're safe. Well, you also see a quarantine evacuation. Nobody's there. They thought that they were going to get back to this village. there's no humans to help them. So, and even so, you had to turn in your pets. Most people probably would have. So it's a crazy deal, but the art's cool.
Yeah,
and I like the concept, but now two issues in a row, I think that it's just not doing enough. Or this one really shoving things at you to progress, but the scenes never feel like they fit very well or set up very well.
They're very disjointed, yes.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, and at one point, we're reading these with review copies. And what happens with the review copies, and especially, I'm telling you, yes, Zach, I bitch about this player that I have to read these things on every time, that it won't give me at points full spread page. What I always think when this, I'm not getting the second half of that full page spread. No, it's not that. It's just, they're just doing stuff and running away, especially Lord. He's just, and it makes him even more insane in my mind that he just goes off and nobody pays attention. The one thing they have to pay attention to. So they had one job.
Jonas is literally telling him the rules, then he turned around and he was gone. It's just like, are you that stupid?
Just imagine, Jonas is telling them the rules because Lord
won't follow the rules.
Going away and won't follow the rules. They're with the two cats that know Lord, Elsie and Patch, who then don't pay any attention to the one problem that the one person, cat, who needs to listen, let him walk away as if their mind movies were going so big that they did not recognize
They just both fell asleep.
Everyone probably, Jonas, like, you gotta, be a little more peppy with this nonsense talk because we both went to sleep. It's just like, it's so weird. It's so weird the way that progressed. But we'll see what other people think. Of course, we always are running scared that people are going to yell at us, and they may. Maybe you like it more than us. I still like it.
Yeah.
But it's like, and also we were talking before we started, Tony Fleeks is doing a bunch of things, but one of the things we talked about last week, Uncanny Valley, I think is great. And the progression, I think, is really good. I think that this just was off. It felt off. It felt like a checklist. You needed to get out there in a weird way and just throw it. But what would you give it?
Oh, dear. I think I'm going to give... Okay, you do? Okay. Well,
you want me to give you my score? 5.5. Yeah, I'm going 5.5.
All right.
I could go 6, but I'm telling you, it's doing it again. It is a bit... nothing that can't be fixed as we go forward.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a weird progression of the whole issue, and things happen in weird ways that didn't seem like they would happen that way just to push a point. And it felt weird. But you go. What's your score?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give it a 6 because, I still enjoyed it enough. Just, you're right, it's very choppy, very disjointed, and I still like the overall concept. And, the concept's solid. It's just this issue, the progression and the plotting was just a little off. So I don't know, maybe Tony's spread out on too many books or something, but he can easily turn around, like you said.
Or, I mean, there's the thing, if you have a story, you have a certain amount of issues you think you have to tell, whatever. Maybe he just wants to have like, okay, I'm going to set up this third issue because we want to get to where, okay, they think the humans are there. They're not going to be there to then maybe get to something really big, but you need it in that progress. It just felt weird. It felt like, again, I need to get these things out there, and I need to do it quickly in this issue, and maybe like almost like chalk this one off as a loss, but in the trade you won't even know because it's right in the middle and it goes. But
I hope that's what it is.
Yeah, I think that I still think it'll end up pretty cool. Now, one thing before we move forward, because we were talking about Feral and having all that deal of it, and you had brought up something before we recorded, and then as we went through and even after we got done recording, we forgot to mention and even look to see that you go with what seems to be happening.
Yeah, so it seemed like an issue or two ago, Patch the cat had gotten infected because he was starting to get bloodshot eyes and everything, and he's kept it a secret from the group the entire time. Now, we had forgotten about it because we have not dealt with that in over like an issue or whatever.
An issue or so.
And in this issue, we noticed that his speech bubbles was getting a little bit weaker, and there was this one point when the foxes attacked at the river, he did not want to cross the river.
Yeah, he got upset about the water.
And the thing is, if they have rabies, they're not supposed to cross water. They're supposed to be afraid of water.
They get afraid of water. And that. And here, the other thing, this is another thing now that you say this. Remember at the point when they find the water, and out of nowhere, Elsie says, fresh water, we can get a drink, and says, Patch, you need to drink. And he doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't drink. So, and there's another point when the foxes come that he seems to shy away. Like, they're going to attack him, and he'd rather get attacked than get near that water. So it's definite that he is. And like you said, the word bubbles. So again, when we got done, You end up saying, "Oh man, I think it really is," because we were discussing it, and then we're like,
I just thought maybe I had misremembered or something. I was like, oh, we're going to get called out for this crap. I know it.
No, again, and when you start singing, then I remembered again, like I said, Elsie says, why don't you drink? You have to drink some water. You're not drinking any water. Fully shows that, but they're not aware of it. But it does, because he's so miserable all the time, that what would be different? So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm sure it's going to end with the feels.
Weird science is the revolution.